Okay, good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up, yeah? Okay, thank you. Right, I will say that today's lesson will be considered one of the most important lessons for your semester. Okay, because I'm going to go through, on the beginning of this lesson, right, I'm going to go through some of the important information that you need to understand, especially for your final exam. Right? So after the briefing, okay, so during the briefing of the examination for ABW 501, I'm speaking on ABW 501 and ABW 501D. So if you have any questions regarding this course, yeah, feel free to ask me in the chat box. I can answer. Also, whatever things that you are not clear, okay, please ask in the chat box. I also noticed that I have 700 students here today. I mean, I have 700 students registered for this course. Only 373 in this session right now. So I do not know whether you are, I'm not sure whether your friends are here or not. All this examination briefing will only be explained once. So whatever things are not clear, please, please ask me here today. All right. So I also hope that I know currently you have a midterm test for ABW 505, right? I hope you are not doing the midterm test now, or I hope you have not started the midterm test now, because you have to pay full attention of the lecture. We make the session online to cater for this already. So please be considerate. You can start your midterm after the lesson, no problem about it. All right, because if not mistaken, the midterm will open until 12 a.m., right? Okay, so please be considerate, yeah? Okay, let's focus on your group assignment first, right? Because I noticed that I do not know what happened, right? A lot of requests from students to resubmit. You know, I purposely open the submission a week before the submission. I purposely do that because I want you to check your documents, follow every single instructions before you submit. And yet, there are still people submit did not rename the file. Members also submit this and that. So I want to emphasize again, for those who have not submitted your file, right? I want to emphasize things again. There are a few things that you need to remember. I also posted this particular slide in your WhatsApp group. I hope you spend at least 5 to 10 minutes of your time of your life, right, to read through it properly. Okay, read through every sentence properly, and please understand that for your professional mode students. Okay, I will go through it once again, and please pay attention. All right. First and foremost, do you need to create a PowerPoint presentation for presentation next week? Please type in the chat box. Do you need to create a specialized PowerPoint presentation to present next week during your presentation? Do you need to do that or not? You don't need, right? Please pay attention. I've been receiving a lot of private messages. Do we need to create PowerPoint or not? I mentioned almost 100 times already. You do not need to create a PowerPoint. All poster will be, we will compile all your poster, and Dr. Aisha and I will present. We will control the poster. You do not need to do anything. You just need to be there. You just be there, be present, and present. That's all. All right. So do not need to prepare any extra PowerPoint presentation. This also include the ODL students, right? For ODL students, just present your poster and present. That's all, right? Just share your poster and present. You do not need to create a PowerPoint presentation to present. And that's what 3-minute presentation is about, right? Present your poster. Okay? In terms of font size and structure and everything, follow exactly what is given to you. Okay? Now, upload your following documents. There are 2 documents I need to emphasize again, right? I need to re-emphasize again, right? Re-emphasize again. You need to submit 2 documents. The first document is the poster in PowerPoint presentation format. Okay, the first document in PPT format. The second document is your journal article in PDF. I repeat, 2 documents. One, poster in PPT. Second, journal article in PDF. All right, 2 documents. Now, during the presentation, now this is only applicable for conventional students, right? For conventional students, only 1 to 2 members will present. Okay, only 1 to 2 members will present. Strictly 3 minutes. Now, due to the number of groups that we have, right, we will start the presentation at 6 p.m. Please take note, please be present at the hall at 6 p.m. Okay, if you're please type 1 in the chat box if you understand this, right? 6 p.m. Please don't be late. Okay, please type 1 in the chat box if you understand. Thank you, right? Now, for ODL students, presentation, upload to YouTube, and only share the link in the poster, right? That is for ODL students. Okay, be clear about this. Now, this is something that I noticed that a lot of students, the Q&A session, as I mentioned earlier on, right? Your presentation will be 10 marks. For conventional students, 10 marks presentation, right? 8 marks presentation, 2 marks Q&A. Right? If my line is still lagging, please let me know. 8 marks presentation, 2 marks will be Q&A. Is it clear for this? 8 marks for now also, let me check. Shouldn't be an issue of full bar. For ODL, no live presentation. Whether the line will be better or not. How about now? Is it okay? Testing 1, 2, 3. Is it okay for now? Better. Off my camera. I'm not sure what happened, but off my camera. So any issue, let me know. Okay, as I mentioned, right, for presentation, for conventional students, 8 marks for presentation, 2 marks for Q&A. How many Q&A depending on whether you can answer the question or not. So if you can answer the first question, then there will not be any more Q&A. If you cannot answer the first question, then there will be more questions asked to help you to score the 2 marks. Okay, is it clear on this presentation? For conventional, for ODL, no Q&A. All right, now, this is something that a lot of students make mistakes, as a problem, right? You did not rename your file, right? Please take note, you have to rename your file based on your group number. If you're from group 1, you rename as group 1, rename group 2, group 3. That's all. No need to put any other things. Don't put ABW501. Don't put ABW501D. No need. Just put your group number name will do. Because I need to compile all your work in one single folder and check. So if you don't rename it properly, how do I find your files? How do I know this file belongs to which file, right? So I need your help to rename your file accordingly. This has been presented to you numerous times in the past, right? I believe that I mentioned this almost 10 to 20 times already. Rename your file accordingly, all right? Now, please take note, only the leader submit, only the leader submit. No duplication submission, which means that the member do not need to submit. Okay, because if you submit duplicately, I will receive your submission numerous times, probably 3 to 4 files are from the same group. So which file should I evaluate? You understand or not? If all the members submit, I will have received 8 files. Right? I will receive 8 files. So which file should I evaluate? I'm asking you this question. So please only submit one file from each group. Only the leader submit. All right, please be careful on these. No duplicate submission. Yes, every week you also need to attend the hall, which means that there are 3 weeks of presentation, right? You have to attend every week. It is still a lecture, just that maybe that particular day it is not your turn for presentation. Okay, so I need to be clear here. If you want to resubmit, because I strongly disagree, I strongly discourage you to resubmit, right? If you really want to resubmit, please let me know. All the resubmission will go through me. I will help you do the resubmission, but I will need to forfeit you certain marks if you want to resubmit. So please take note, if I receive duplicate submission or marks penalized or resubmission, both will also result in a marks penalization, because I've mentioned a lot of times. I hope you really pay attention on this instruction here. Okay, so this will be the last time I will talk about assignment submission and also presentation. So do you have any question for this? Do you have any question for project submissions and also Yusan, what happened? Sun Yusan, what happened? Okay, this will be the last time I talk about project, because I mention this almost every week when we have class. So I hope you really pay attention and follow the instruction properly. All right. So any more questions? Again, I'm not stopping you to resubmit. You can resubmit. Let me know. I will reset the system and allow you to resubmit. Right? But there'll be a price to pay. You have to get your marks penalized. So during presentation, what do you think about clothing demand? What do you think? 大家知交? Can you wear short pants and slipper? So please wear smartly. When you during a presentation, please wear smartly. All right? Please wear smartly. Long pants, proper clothing. Don't wear sport shoe. All right? Don't wear slippers. Wear a sport shoe at least. All right? Any more question for this? Okay, for Q&A, right? I will only suggest the presenter to answer. Assuming the presenter cannot answer, the member can help. So please take note, the members, if you are the presenters or if the group are presenting on that particular day, please sit in front. If you want to help the presenter to answer, right, the members will have to sit in front. At least if they want to help in answering the question, you are nearby, to help them to answer. All right, and during the presentation session, which is next week onwards, right, you have to sit in a group, sit together in a group, so that so that Dr. Aisha and I can take the attendance easily. Will that be okay? Okay, any more questions regarding presentation and group assignments before we move to final exam?
Doctor, sorry.
Yes.
Lucas here. With regards to the question for Q&A, right?
Yep.
So for Q&A, the marks allocation, only questions asked by you guys have marks, or asked by the floor will have marks as well?
The Q&A will only asked by the lecturers.
Okay, so it doesn't involve any one of us, right? It's only you and Dr. Aisha, am I right?
Yes. So basically, we are trying to help you, right? Number one, why Q&A is being asked? Because we want to see whether do you understand the paper or not, right? The purpose of the assignment is to understand the paper and summarize, right? So we ask the Q&A
Yep.
to do a thing where whether do you understand the paper or not. So we are trying to help you, right? If you cannot answer the first question, we will ask the second question to help you again. If you can't answer the second question, then depends on the lecturer, right? If let's say you can't answer the second question as well, then probably we'll stop. All right. So that's how the Q&A works,
Right. Okay.
Okay. Lucas, am I answering your question? No problem. Hey, by the way, the Power BI course certification upload has been done. No more already, right? For those who missed the deadline to upload, that's it. No more. Okay, for ODL students, perhaps I can actually create the what do you call it? Create the presentation. I can create a webinar session to showcase the presentation session. No problem. I can arrange that. Which means that for those ODL students, right, you can join my session. You can join my session to watch the presentation session. I will share the link later next week. Can all the group members answer the question? As I mentioned, my dear, I already mentioned that if you want the group members to answer, right, you have to basically sit in front, right? Of course, I'll prioritize the presenter to answer. If the presenter cannot answer, then the members can answer. Yes, again, presenter answer first. If the presenter cannot answer, then only the member help to answer. Will it be okay? Is everybody clear here? Okay, presenter answer first. If not, it will waste a lot of time, right? Every time we ask the member to answer, correct? And the presenter, when you present, obviously you need to understand the paper, right? Correct? Okay. I would like to confirm, is the content of our speech simply presenting what is on the poster, nothing more than that? Up to you. You can say whatever you want in 3 minutes. Okay, Sun Tianxiang, your presentation, 3 minutes, right? You can say whatever you want related to the topic in 3 minutes. Remember, have you watched the 3-minute presentation video? Have you watched the 3-minute presentation video? Frankly speaking, can I see a thumbs up for those who have watched the 3-minute presentation that I've shared? The YouTube, there are 2 YouTube, right? Who actually watched? Yeah. This is, of course, if you can do exactly what they did, right, you will score 10 out of 10. If you can do exactly what they are doing, right, you can get 10 out of 10. Definitely Dr. Aisha and I will give you full marks, which includes the ODL students, right? If you can present as fluent as the one that I shared in the video, you can get full marks. I can assure you that, right? So take a look into the sample and understand and try to analyze how they do it. Okay? I've actually selected the best video that I've come across and shared with you. Okay? Any more questions before we go to the best content of the semester, right? The final exam. Anybody have any more questions? No question, huh? Okay, no question means no more, huh? No more. This will be the last time I talk about. It seems like I'm very nagging, huh? Keep on nagging, huh? I'm not nagging, huh? I just want to ensure that you are doing things right. Right? So there will not be any more briefing or thing about assignment, huh? This will be the closed case. All right? Please submit before 19th of December, 5 p.m. Right? 5 p.m. Because I need to compile the poster before your presentation next week. So we need time to mark your poster. Okay? Okay, good. Now let's focus on your final exam. Right? Please open your ear big. Any question you want to ask, please ask, right? Okay, open your eye, open your ear big. Look into the final exam. Okay? So let's focus on that. Okay, for final exam, now I'm covering the conventional mode first. This will be your ODL, right? I'll talk about ODL later. Let's talk about conventional mode first, right? Now, for conventional mode, you will be having the examination in the following venue. Okay, it will be happen on the 27th of January 2026 on Tuesday, 2:15 p.m. All right. Now the time for examination will be similar to ODL. So both examination will be conducted simultaneously. ODL will also do the examination on the 27th of January 2026 at 2:15 p.m. Right? But for conventional students, you need to arrive at the hall 30 minutes before the exam. 30 minutes before the exam. Okay? The durations of the examination will be 2 hours. 2 hours, which means that you're allowed to take the examination from 2:15 to 4:15. This is applicable for both ABW 501 and also ABW 501 in USM at KL. All right. The venue will be lecture. This is the venue, L17 DPA and also L70 DPB. Right. Please check before your examination. Please go and check where is the venue. So get familiarized with the venue. For USM and KL, we will finalize the venue. I'll let you know where is the venue. But definitely, it will be the same building where you have your lecture class, right? For those who are from the USM KL. In total, the final exam will be 40 marks, right? 4 structured questions. Now, when I say 4 structured questions, means that 4 main structured questions. Okay, 4 main structured questions comprises of chapter 1, 2, 5, and 7. Okay, in terms of whether you're DPA or DPB, right? Please check your, what do you call it? Check your exam slip later. Your examination slip, they will mention whether you're from DPA or DPB. Not group A, group B, you have to check your exam slip. Okay, the venue of your examination, check your exam slip. Not group A or group B, All right. Okay, so please take note on this, Now, before I proceed to the study guidance, right? Let me cover ODL first, right? Now for ODL, same thing, 27th of January, 2:15 p.m., duration 2 hours. The venue will be this link, right? examonline.usm.my. Please take note, it is not available at the moment, right? Just now I tried to access the link, it is not available at the moment. Okay, not available at the moment, so please take note. Now, for ODL students, right, please take note that everything remains the same. It is still a 40 marks, 4 structured questions, same chapter, but the thing is that you have to answer everything in the system. Okay, for ODL students. Any ODL students here? Can you please give me a thumbs up? ODL students? That one. Yeah, ODL students are here, right? Okay, good. Please help me to tell your teammates who are not here today, all right? So the difference is you do your examination using this link, which is not available at the moment. You don't try to log in. It is not available, right? You have to answer everything in the system. There is no upload function. Okay, type everything in the system. Type. I need to write, type, type everything, type. Okay, for ODL students, right? Okay, most likely, because everything is in the system, right? Most likely there will be word limit for each of the question. Word limit, ODL students, word limit for the system, all right? For the system. So you have to, we will mention the word limit for each of the questions. So please take note for the word limit. For ODL students, only, if you understand this, please type 1 in the chat box. Thank you, ODL students. Can please let your teammate know who are not here today about this important information. Number 1, you have to type, answer everything in the system, type, no upload functions, and there will be word limit for each of the question. Some question might allocate 50 words, some might 60 words, some 100 words, some 120 words. All right? Please take note, Okay? Any questions before I move into the details of the exam? No, no question. Okay. Now, in general, right, for the examination, for both ODL and also conventional students, for both ODL and conventional students, right, I want you to keep the answer short. Keep answer short. Okay, keep answer short. Wising, when can we log in to check if you have access? We will update, right? Once you have the access, I believe that you will be informed. Okay, now it's not available yet. Okay, so how do you answer for both ODL and conventional? For all students in general, right? Keep your answer short. You can write point form. Can write point form. I need to write like this because later you don't understand. A lot of students don't understand. You can write point form. No need to write full essay. No full essay. Okay? No full essay, because we are not testing your English, right? We are testing whether do you understand the content or not. So we are marking based on your understanding, right? So you can actually write the answer in point form. Okay? You can also draw table for comparison question. For comparison question, you can draw table to compare. For example, let's say if there's a question on comparing between supervised learning and unsupervised learning. For example, if there's a question on supervised and unsupervised learning, for conventional students, you can draw a table. For ODL students, I know you can't draw a table, right? It is okay. Just write them in point form. For ODL students, I know you can't draw a table in the exam, right? You can write them in point form. Is it okay? Now, any question about this? Keep the answer short. Write the key points, right? Can write. No need to write in the full essay. For comparison, for conventional students, you can draw a table. For ODL students, you can just write point form. Okay? Any questions? So let me share with you how you can answer, right? Okay, let me share with you. Let's say if there's a question talking about supervised versus unsupervised, right? So here you write supervised machine learning. Okay, supervised machine learning. Just need to point form. Okay, when I say point form, for example, supervised machine learning, right? So here, first point is has label, right? I can write away has labeling. Correct? That's the first point for has labeling. Second, for example, okay, you write your example. Then you can also write the further elaboration here. See, this is how you write your answer. When I say point form means that you don't have to write this. Supervised machine learning is a machine learning has labeling. This is because, for example, to illustrate the condition of supervised machine learning, something like that. You don't have to write a full essay. You get my point? You go straight to the point. Like has labeling, for example, what example that you want to write. If you have further elaboration, just go to the next point and write the further elaboration. Okay, am I answering your question? How do you write your answer? All clear? If you understand, give me a thumbs up, or give me a smiley face if you understand how you should write your answer. No need to write a sentiment. No need. I need the key point only. For example, for supervised machine learning, what is the key point here? Has labeling, right? What is the key point for unsupervised machine learning? No labeling. So for unsupervised machine learning, you can just write no labeling and continue. All right, for ODL students, do you need to turn on the camera or open the lockdown browser, right? This one we will talk about it later in a WhatsApp group, right? I need to confirm with the exam department first before I let you know. Is it okay that way? Yes, of course. Let me give you a tips on how to answer question. Can you pay attention here? Okay, I give you a tips. I give you a tips. Tips. Take note. Let's say the question talk about, okay, let's say we talk about explain. Explain, for example, explain predictive analytic. Okay, for example, let me give you a general question, right? General question, this is not necessarily a common exam, right? I give you a general question. In business analytics. Individuals in business analytics. Okay, let's say 15 marks. 15 marks, 5 rows, 15 marks, right? Can you tell me how many marks allocated for each of the row? Please type in the chat box. Marks, right? Each row 3 marks. Am I right? If it's 3 marks, how many points you need to write? If it's a 3 marks, right? How many points? Definitely you write 3 points or 2 points also can. For example, you write database administrator, right? Database administrator. Right? Database administrator, you have 1 mark. Row number 1, if you mention row number 1, another mark. Row number 2, another mark. Can you see that? How you answer question here? Can you understand? How do you answer? So for example, as I mentioned, right, 5 important individuals in business analytics, but 15 marks, right? 5 rows, you divide each row 3 marks. If 1 row 3 marks, you divide them accordingly, right? Like database administrator, you have 1 mark. You explain one of the row, 1 mark. The second row, 1 mark. The row means that the row of the database administrator, yeah? Then you continue with the next one. The next one, okay, which are the other rows available? Data scientist, then what are the rows? So this is how you write your answer. Business user, right? Business user, you write business user. User, right? Then you have row number 1, row number 2. See, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. And this is how we mark your project sponsor, right? You write project sponsor. You write what do project sponsor do? Project sponsor give budget, set the objectives of the. Now, this is what I'm trying to say here. Okay? Do you know how to answer question now? Okay. To answer Yulian's question, right? If we write additional point, okay, what I will say is that we will only mark the correct answer. Okay, we will only mark the correct answer. Wrong answer, we will not deduct marks. We just don't give you the marks. Okay, so that's why be very take note on that. Okay, let's try one more to see whether you understand or not. Right? Let's say I want to show you. Let's say I have another questions here. Another questions. Okay, explain the difference between. Explain differences between. Okay, what? Okay, explain the differences between what? Suddenly I can't think of any questions. Okay, between. Okay, let's say we have two. Between categorical variable, categorical versus continuous variable, for example. Okay, can we do that? Now let's say differences are 12 marks. Okay, let's say maybe this way. Write, let's say 3 differences. 3 differences between categorical versus continuous variable, for example. 1 difference, how many marks? My dear students here, 1 different, how many marks? 4 marks, right? 4 marks, correct? 4 marks. So when you want to write differences, of course, let's say you write, let's say the first point is the type of data, for example. So you write a type of data for categorical, you write the example. Continuous, you write the example. So make sure when you give the answer, right, you need to give 4 marks worthy of answer. You get my point? So can you tell me one of the differences between categorical and continuous? Example. Let's say data type. Okay, what data type is that? This is what? Categorical means what? Can count, right? Count. Continuous means measure. See, this is how I write my answer, right? Then you can give example. Example of count is what? Let's say defect of product. Okay, yeah, this is the next question. Then for measure, what is the answer? Height. See, this is how you answer the question. Next, we talk about qualitative, quantitative. So this will be qualitative, right? Next differences, qualitative, quantitative. Yes, very good, Iman. Thank you for helping, right? Next, nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. You see, when you write answer this way, right? Let's say 12 marks, you can get 12 out of 12 if it's 3 differences. Can you understand? Yeah? Good. Now that's all for answering technique. So 40 marks, right? As I mentioned, 40 marks. Your final exam paper will be 100 marks, which will be converted to 40 marks, which means that chapter 1, you have 25 marks. Chapter 2, 25 marks. Chapter 3, chapter 5, 25 marks. Chapter 7, 25 marks. Okay, so it will be converted to 40% of your total course marks. Okay, now let's go to the details of the paper. Yeah, let's go to the details. Okay, chapter 1. Now, chapter 1, okay, chapter 1 comprises of 2 questions. 2 questions. The first question is on differences. 1A on differences. 1B on explain and give one example. Okay, the first question talk about differences. The second question talk about explain and give one example. So please take note, what is important in big data analytics, which will have these 2 types of questions. Okay, hint, the hint is things that Dr. Te emphasize a lot in the lecture. This is the hint. I give you a tips here. Things that Dr. Te emphasize a lot in the lecture. All right, chapter 1, done. Chapter 2, the first question focusing on discuss and give one example, right? First question, discuss plus one example. The second question, explain and report. Now, please bear in mind, chapter 1 and 2 are full theoretical questions, right? For full theoretical question, especially chapter 2, right? Chapter 2 is pretty short. Okay, chapter 2 is pretty short. It's a full theoretical questions. So try to see which question can give you, discuss and give one example. Another one is explain and report. And also, please listen to the lecture where which one actually emphasized by Dr. Taylor. Okay. Can Chapter 5. Now, chapter 5, I can give you more hint here. Chapter 5, the first question is on compute. Calculate. Compute plus show. Okay. For the first question, I can give you a hint. It is related to shirt. It is related to shirt. What is about shirt? The second question on chapter 5, right, which is on compute and show as well. Same thing, compute and show, the second question. It is about trend line. Trend line. So which question in trend line that allows you or need you to compute and show? Okay, that is for chapter 5. Focus on that, right? And finally, for data mining, right? Data mining, first question, compute. First question, compute. Second question, analyze. Especially you focus on differences. For analyze and differences, I can give you a hint. It is about supervised and unsupervised. This is pretty clear, supervised and unsupervised. Okay, I'll repeat chapter 5 again. Chapter 5, for the first question, compute and show, the hint is shirt. Shirt, the hint is on the shirt. For question B, compute and show as well, the compute and show is on the trend line. So how in what condition for trend line you have to calculate and show? Okay, any question on the exam guidance? Any question? What is the sting? What do you mean by sting? No, shirt. It's about a shirt. Go to the slide and check. Where can you get a shirt? What does it mean? It means nothing. Go to the shirt and check. Go to the slide and check which one has the shirt. I cannot say so detailedly. This is exam. Okay, for chapter 1, again, chapter 1, number 1, analyze and show differences. Number 2, explain and give one example for chapter 1. Analyze differences, explain and give one example. So for chapter 1, the hint is you go to the chapter 1 recording again, right, and see which part Dr. Ted emphasized tremendously, right? Which part Dr. Ted emphasized tremendously, For chapter 2, discuss and give one example and explain and report, right? First question, discuss and give one example. Second question for chapter 2 is explain and report. Okay, for chapter 2. So same thing, right? Chapter 2 is a theoretical questions. So check which part actually Dr. Ted emphasized a lot. So in total, yes, why saying I was about to say that, in total, there are eight sub-questions. 8 sub-questions, correct. So 4 main questions, 25 marks, 8 sub-questions. The sub-question ranging from 10 marks to 15 marks. Okay, the sub-questions are ranging from 10 marks to 15 marks. Any question on the exam topics? No questions, Are the questions typically long, such as require stages of data? It's a mixture of questions. Some questions are long questions, which you need to understand the case study or understand the concept, and then you answer accordingly. Some are straightforward questions. So it's a mixture of long questions and also short questions. But typically, all answers can be short. All answers can be short. Okay, chapter 5 again, compute and show. Calculate and show, both are calculating and show. Okay, for chapter 5, the hint for the first question is about shirt, S-H-I-R-T. Anything about shirt? Please take note, go and check. Which slide has shirt? Then the second question is about trend line. How do you calculate in trend line? So please learn about it. Okay. Now, I'll move on to the final slide here before I pass it to Dr. Aisha for the lecture. Okay, this is the important things that you need to pay attention. This is for conventional students, conventional student, not ODL, conventional, right? For conventional student, please ensure you print and bring your exam slip and metric card, right? Metric card. For international students, please bring your passport as well. Okay, for international students, please bring your passport as well. All right. Secondly, kindly arrive at the examination hall at least 30 minutes. You are permitted to bring a non-programmable calculator. It is optional. If you don't want to bring calculator, it is okay as well. But since there are calculation questions, right, you are encouraged to bring calculator to exam. So like there's a question earlier on, right? FX570EX. Yes, you can bring that in exam. No problem. It is a non-programmable calculator. You can bring that in exam. Okay? For your examination script, please write your index number for conventional students. Now, this is applicable for all, both conventional and ODL students. Please take note. We kindly request each student to uphold the highest standards of honesty during the examination. Cheating undermines the value of education and compromises the integrity of our academic community. So we have confidence in your abilities and encourage to showcase your knowledge through your own effort. So in short, do not cheat in the exam, right? In short, do not cheat in the exam. All right? Please do not cheat in the exam. Now to answer the question about my Adele, right? Are the questions long answer questions? What do you mean by long answer? As I mentioned numerous times, right? Questions can be both long and short questions, but answer you write in point form. Okay. Now for formulas, all formulas will be given to you, right? All formulas will be given to you in exam. All the needed formulas will be given to you in exam. All right. You do not need to memorize the formula. Okay. But of course, some questions like plus and minus, of course, it will not be given to you in exam. Like, for example, how to calculate the sum. Sum. The sum will not be given to you in exam, right? Only specific or important formulas will be given in exam. Like sum, minus, multiply, and divide will not be given in exam. Please take note on that. So, any questions for final examination before we move on to the lecture? No question? Standard deviation and mean. For the example will be given. What do you mean? Standard deviation and mean, this type of question is not in the exam. Please check your chapter 1, 2, 5, and 7. Chapter 7, question 2. Chapter 7, question 2 is on same thing, compute and show the trend line. Where can you get an exam slip? Through your campus online. I'm not sure whether the exam slip is available or not. It is through the campus online. Now, for the browser, we will update you later, right? For ODL students, right? For exam online browser, we will update you later in your WhatsApp group. So far, I do not have any information yet on the browser. Okay, so don't worry. The recording for this lecture will be posted in ODL as well as conventional class. So don't worry. The recording for today's session will be posted. So you can always refer back to the recording for more information. Okay, so I hope that you are able to do your best for your final exam, and of course pay attention for the lecture as well. Right? Okay, thank you. I will pass it to Dr. Aisha if you are here.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, you can proceed first. I'll answer a few questions on the chat box.
All right, sure. Thanks,
Thank you.
Dr.
Thank you.
Okay. You can see my screen. Okay, so let me just. Okay, in case you haven't scanned your QR code for attendance, you can do so right now. So I'm using my own slides instead of what's on e-learning. I will share these slides on WhatsApp after this. Okay. So today we are learning about Monte Carlo simulations and risk analysis. So this chapter is about one core idea, which is how we make decisions when the future is uncertain. So before this, many of our models have relied on single numbers, one demand forecast, one cost estimation, one profit value, and so on. So today we will move beyond that and ask a more realistic questions. So like what could happen and how bad could it be if things go wrong? So understanding uncertainty through simulations. So that is the main idea of Monte Carlo. So Monte Carlo simulation let us stop pretending we know the future and instead measure risk explicitly. Okay. So we've seen this analytics category so many times. We are actually at in the middle, the predictive analytics. So this is where the key questions are like what could happen, not what will happen, but what could happen. So this is where tools like regression, simulation, and Monte Carlo lives. So instead of producing one forecast, we produce a range of possibilities, outcomes, and measure the risk around them. So why this matter? So the reason Monte Carlo simulation matters is it's predictive because it forecasts the full range of possible futures, not a single numbers. So that allow us to quantify risk before making a decision, not after. So this is how Monte Carlo simulation works. I think you learned this through the recorded lectures. Okay, so there are 4 steps. So the first step is to generate inputs. So we first start by identifying the uncertain inputs in our models. So instead of guessing a single value, so we describe uncertainty using probability distributions. So for the examples, we have demand might follow a normal distributions, and then the cost follow a uniform distributions. So this is where we admit that, okay, we don't know the exact values in advance. So then we go to step 2, which is compute and repeat. So what happened here is we let the computer or the machine to run the simulations, right? Maybe for the first trial, it randomly draw a demand value, a cost value, and then it puts it inside the models and computes an outcome, let's say profits. And then it does it again and again and again. So usually 1,000 or 10,000 of trials, like in this example, like 10,000 trials. So then we go to step 3, which is here, the resulting distributions. So after all those trials, we don't have a single answer. We have actually a distribution of outcomes. So this distribution shows us the good outcomes, the bad outcomes, and everything in between. So this is the key shift from traditional modeling. Okay, so and then we come to the 4th step, which is statistical properties. So now we ask decision-focused questions. What's the chance of losing money, or what's the probability of being profitable? So what the expected value? So in this example, we say that 80% chance of loss and 82% chance of profit, or like 3.5 million expected value. So Monte Carlo actually doesn't predict the future. It predicts a range of possible futures and tell us how likely each one is. So this is why Monte Carlo shows up in real business problems like demand uncertainty, cancellation, investment returns, like anywhere that we have noisy or uncertain inputs and the stakes are high. So we will look into 4 different business problems, but all using one powerful tool, which is the Monte Carlo. So we are not learning 4 unrelated models. We are learning one way of thinking about uncertainty and then applying it in different contexts. So there are 4 different contexts here. So the first one is new product development for investment decisions. So we look into new product launch. So in this case, a pharmaceuticals investment. So the question is not, is the average NPV or net present value positive? The real question is, what's the risk of a negative NPV? And how long until we break even? So how bad could things be if demand is weak? So this is about go or no-go decision under uncertainty. So then we will look into news vendor models, right? So this one is on the inventory management. So we ask about how much we order, how much we should order when demand is unpredictable. So we focus on overstock versus stock out cost, and then using historical data and then we do it resampling and find the order quantity that maximize expected profits. So this is Monte Carlo makes it like data driven. So the third one is overbooking models. So then this is like hotels and airlines. So they usually like have how many reservations should we accept when some customer won't show up. So that's why if you buy plane ticket, sometimes you got bumped from the plane because they overbook. Okay, so this introduced the custom probability distributions. So we try to balance between revenue versus service. So, and number 4 is cash budget model, right? Financial planning. So even profitable companies can fail if they run out of money or cash. So here we use simulations to track cash balances month by month and then estimate the probability of a shortfall and manage working capital risk. So different problem, different decision, same simulation logics. So if you understand Monte Carlo, then you can move between finance, operation, and strategy using the same analytical tools. Okay, let's go next. So we now try to define risk and risk analysis. So what is risk? So risk is the likelihood of undesirable outcomes. So risk is not just about chance, but about consequences. So that's why we define risk as probability plus multiplied by severity. So you need both. So how likely is something to go wrong and how bad it is if it does. So a rare event with huge consequences can be risky. So a common event with tiny consequences may not be. So then we look into risk analysis. So it looks into and asking how do uncertain inputs affect our customers. So it moves us beyond the best guesses and forces to confront the full range of possibilities. All right. So So then we look into the flaw of average versus realities. So this picture shows one of the most common mistakes in analytics by relying on the average. So a traditional model might say that we expected like 5 million in profits, which is the red lines here. So, but that single number hides the reality because risk analysis will shows a different story. Like, you can't hear well. Can you hear me? Okay, thanks. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so so actually it can hide the reality because risk analysis will tell a very different story. So the profit may range from like negative 2 millions to 12 millions. Okay, so these are two completely different decision environments, even though the average is the same. So traditional model gives us comfort, risk analysis gives us the truth. Okay, let's go to the first part, which is the first example, the new product development for more pharmaceutical case studies. Okay, so this is a classic high-stake investment problem where large upfront costs and then uncertain demands and a long-term payoff. So the key mistake people make in cases like this is jumping straight to the spreadsheet. So before we touch any formula, we need to be clear about the decision. So the decision is not what is the NPV, right? The decision is, should we launch the product given the risk? So in this case, Monte Carlo helps us answer the three specific questions like the NPV risk, break-even timing, and percentiles. So we'll look into this. So, okay. So it's a three-step process. So you first define and then simulate and then interpret the outcomes. So the first one is the model setups. So we start by defining two types of variables. First, the uncertainty inputs X, right? And then these are the things that we do not control and cannot know in advance. As you, in this case is market demands, R&D costs, and price point. And then the second one is the target output, Y. So here we care about 5-year NPV, community point, profits. So these outputs are chosen because they connect directly to the decisions. So, and then we have step 2, which is the simulations. So we let the computer run the simulations. So we assign probability distribution to each uncertain inputs, which is this one. Okay, so they might be normal, triangular, or custom. The choice depends on the business context, not convenience. Then we run the simulations, 10,000 scenarios, each representing one possible future. So for each scenario, we compute NPV and profit and record the results. So this step is mechanical. The value comes later. So finally, we interpret the distributions of outcome. So we are asking, what do the answers tells us? So we focus on 3 decision relevant views: the risk profile, probability of NPV less than 0, and then the timeline. When do we break even? And then the downside, what does the 10 percentile look like? So this metric exists because managers don't expect average, they expect outcomes. So we don't just run the number, we define the decision first. We model uncertainty specifically to measure downside risk, not to generate spreadsheets. Okay, so we go to the first questions for this example. So the risk of failure. So the key business questions is, what is the risk that the net present value or NPV over the 5 years is not positive? So this is a risk questions, not forecasting questions. So the first model setup that we do Okay, so we start with the financial logic. The NPV formula itself is standard, so nothing huge here. So what is the new in the several inputs are uncertain? The market demand, the unit price, the variable cost. So each trial we use different values for these inputs. And then we have the simulations. So we run 10,000 scenarios. So each bar of the histogram represent a possible future. So green outcomes are profitable and the red are losses. So the key step is simple. So we count how many trials fall below zero, the red zones. Because we run 10,000 trials, right? So we just count. So then we do the interpretations. So we are actually calculating probability. So in this example, the answer is there is like a 25% chance we will lose money on this project. So this statement is vastly more informative than the expected NPV is positive. So if this probability exceeds the company's risk tolerance, so the project could be rejected. Let's say the company said their risk tolerance is like 20%. Then because we have 25% that we lose money in this project, they were gonna X this project. Okay, so next, we go to the next questions. Questions 2, when do we break even? So what are the chances the product will show a cumulative net profit by the end of year 3, for example? So for many investors, this question matters as much as total NPV. So we now track cumulative cash flow over time. So the logic is cumulative profit this year equals to last year cumulative profit plus this year net profit. So these critical variables is the year 3 balance. So we're asking yes or no questions. Is the balance positive by the end of year 3? So then we run a simulations again for 10,000 trials, and then we check cumulative profit at year 3. So some scenarios are still negative, shown in red, and then others are positive, shown in green. So again, we just count how many scenarios clear zero by year 3. So the result is the interpretations here. The result shows that a success probability. In this case, there is a 68% chance we will break even by year 3. So this tells us about speed of capital recovery. A higher percentage means lower liquidity risk, and then faster return on investment and less pressure on cash reserves. So this one is not about total profit, it's about timing. Okay, next one, the planning for the downsides. So the third question, what cumulative profit in year 5 are we likely to realize with at least 90% confidence? So this is not optimism, this is planning for things to go wrong. So the first step is with the target metrics. So we focus on 5-year cumulative profit distribution. So but instead of average, we choose a percentiles. So for 10 percentiles, also called P10s. So why P10? So because it defines the floor, the minimum outcome we expect to exceed 90% of time. So this is the number conservative manager care about. And then we do the simulations again. After running 10,000 trial, we sort all outcomes from worst to best. So the 10 percentile or the P10 line cuts at the bottom of 10% of scenarios. So everything to the left of that line represent a bad but possible outcomes. So then we have the interpretation. So if the 10th percentile is 2.3 million, we can say that we are 90% confident that profit will be at least 2.3 million. So this is the worst reasonable case. It's the number you use for conservative budgets or capacity planning and promise you actually want to keep. Like maybe you promise your investors, right? So percentiles are for risk management. So the 10th percentile gives you like a safe base case number. Okay, next, now we try to interpret the simulation output. So we put everything here. So we ran 10,000 trials, right? So we need to understand what the numbers actually tell us. So this chart shows the distribution of 5-year NPV. So the red bars losing outcomes and the green bars are profitable outcomes. So the line in the middle is the expected value. So first, risk of loss. So there is a 25.4% probability that NPV is negative, right? So, and then early success. So there is 68% probability chance the project is profitable by year 3. So that tells us about liquidity pressure and speed of payoff. And then the third one is conservative case. The 10th percentile is 2.3 million. That means we are 90% confident profit will be at least 2.3 millions. So this is the number that maybe manager would try to plan around. So while the project is profitable on average, there is a significant 1 in 4 chance of failure. So, but if the project succeeds, the upside potential is substantial. So, so this is like a balance on a summary. So then managers can use this to make a decisions. So if the firm can tolerate like more than 50% risk, the project may be acceptable. If not, then they will reject the project. Okay, so then we look into the second example, niche vendor models. This is more on the inventory. So this so it's like you ask questions. How much inventory should we order when demand is uncertain? Because if we order too much and we're stuck with lots of inventory. So if we order too little, then you lose sales. So either way, uncertainty will cost you money. So what's the difference from in this example, the second example with the first one? So in this example, we use historical data. We use past sales data, not just assumptions. So, and then in the previous example, we asked, should we launch or not? Here, we assume that we already have the business already exists, and we ask, how do we operate? So under uncertainty. Okay. All right. So here we shows how we Monte Carlo technique of resampling from historical data. So this is how we stimulate demand without assuming a theoretical distributions. So we have like historical weekly demand, say at least this one 20 weeks. So these numbers already contain real variability, possible seasonality, and real world noise and real world noise. So this is valuable information, so we don't want to throw it out. So and then we use it for resampling in the resampling simulations. So in Monte Carlo resampling, we randomly select one past observation at a time with replacement. So let's say we say week 3, demands of 38 units could be selected. So next trial might also select 38 or any other week, right? So each trial represents one possible, like the likelihood of future week that looks like the past. So we run this for 10,000, let's say 10,000 times again, right? So why do we use this approach? So this is the alternative is the theoretical approach. So we assume demand follows a normal distributions. So that assumption is often wrong. So resampling does something better. It's preserve reality. So it keeps the actual shape, symmetry, and odd behavior found in the data. So when we have good historical data, resampling is often more realistic than forcing a forced textbook distributions. So let's go to the third example. So we look into the overbooking. This is like the most real world example, risk reward trade-offs. So airlines know something important, that not everyone who books a seat shows up. So if they sell exactly the number of seats on the plane, they often fly with empty seats. So, but if they sell too many seats, they have to bump passengers, which is expensive and they damage customer trust. So this is also uncertainty problems. So in this example, so this case is, there are three elements here. So a no-show, a custom distribution, and also risk versus revenue. So in no-show, we explicitly model the fact that some customer cancel or don't arrive. So custom distribution, like demand and cancellation, don't behave. So we don't force them into normal distributions. So, and risk versus revenue. So more booking increase expected revenue, but they also increase the chance of very costly outcomes. When you bump, you need to pay, right? So, so in the news vendor, the previous example problem, so leftover inventory is like annoying if you don't finish your inventory. So in the overbooking problem, the downside is a sharp and non-linear. One extra passenger can be very expensive. So let's go next. So so as I said before, a real customer behavior rarely looks like a perfect bell curve. So in overbooking model, we separate into two different uncertainties. The first one is customer demands. How many wants to fly? So first we model customer demands. So based on market research, we don't assume a small normal distribution. Instead, we define discrete booking level, like in this example, 280, 290, 300, and so on. So, okay. So let's say like 310 booking is most likely, but 330 can happen. So this is like what actually the airlines do for bookings. And then we have the other one, which is cancellations, no-shows. So who won't show up? So second, now we model cancellations or no-shows. So historical data shows that cancellation behavior follow its own patterns, largely independent of demand. So we model cancellation as a separate probability distribution. So why we use custom distributions? So because standard normal distribution often fail to capture business reality. So demand can't be negative. So cancellation comes in chunks and extreme values matters. So custom discrete distribution allows us to quote and code or exactly what we know from data. Okay. So next, now we look into so we're not asking if overbooking is good or bad. We are asking how much risk are we willing to accept for more revenue. So in this example, the plane capacity is 300 seats, right? So let's say we accept 310 reservations. We are overbooking by 10 seats. So with 310 reservation, so there is 14% chance we'll have to bump at least one confirmed passenger. So this is a very clear, we can interpret this risk statement. So then we can also look into revenue upside. So in exchange, we get an expected revenue lift of 2,500 compared to not overbooking at all. So that's the reward side of the trade-off. So most outcomes are profitable, shown in blue. So the red bar represent outcome where bumping cost dominates. So so you can see that, notice the shapes like upside growing gradually and downside hit suddenly. So that's what makes this problem dangerous without simulations. Okay, so the fourth example, so I'm going really fast so that you can go to your midterm test. So this final example look into cash budget model. So it focuses on liquidity, not profitability. So this is the core idea is a company can be profitable on paper and still fail if it runs out of cash. So that's why cash flow risk deserve its own analysis. So what makes these models different? So this model emphasize three things: liquidity, which is the question is, do we have enough cash to meet obligations? And then number two, monthly trends. So risk evolves over time, it's not static. And then number three, shortfall risk. What is the probability that cash goes negative in a given month? So in the first part, we care about total value. And then number two and number three, we care about operation decisions. Now we are looking into survival. So we can use Monte Carlos to simulate cash balances month by month. So the output won't be like a single cash forecast, it will be a distribution of cash path over times. So that allows us to plan financing before we're in trouble. So here you can see that how risk evolves over time. So instead of a single outcome, we now have many possible cash paths. So how to read this chart? So each thin path represents one simulated future. The dark lines right here in the middle is the median cash balance. So actually this one is less thin line. So the range is over here. So the shaded region is the 10 to 90% confident bands, right? All this. So, or the most plausible outcome. So the red dash here is the danger zone, which you have zero cash. So from this, what we find is the most important insight is early. So there is a high likelihood of negative cash balance in the first 3 months. So this is an early stage liquidity crunch. So even though things look fine later, the company may not survive the first quarter without planning. So what can they do? So because if you look in the trajectory, right? So the medium path recovers by month 4 here, right? So the 10 percentile, the worst reasonable case, remain close to 0 until month 6. So that means downside risk lingers longer than average suggests. So what can we do? This leads directly to a recommendation. So maybe they need to secure a 90-day credit facility to bridge the gap, the Q1 gap. So, but identified by these models. So this is what Monte Carlo good at, is identify problems before they become crises. So cash risk is about timing, not totals. So simulation let us see when trouble is likely to occur and plan accordingly. So let's close this chapter and then summarize what this chapter is really about. So what we learn is risk equal to probability multiplied by impact. So uncertainty alone isn't the problem. So risk exists when bad outcomes are both possible and costly. And then Monte Carlo lets us quantify how likely those outcomes are, not just guesses. Okay, so then we look into from best guess to full distribution. So traditional model focus on a single average, but average height the tails, right, from the graph. So the tails are where risks actually are. So simulation forces us to confront the entire distribution of outcomes. Then number 3, prescriptive decision making. So we didn't simulate just to predict, we simulate to decide. So launch or don't launch a product, how much inventory to order, so how many seats we want to allow for overbooking, and then how much liquidity to secure. So this is analytic that drives actions. So this so across the 4 different problems, we use the same core idea, right? For the NPD models, we look into go or no go under NPV risk, and then the news vendor, we look into inventory optimization using real data. For overbooking, we look into revenue versus service risk trade-offs. And then cash budgets, we look into managing liquidity risk over times. So it's just using one tool, which is a Monte Carlo, but so many other contexts. I think if you read the textbooks, the suggested textbook, they have other example as well. So the big takeaway from this is simulation doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It just transforms uncertainty from a threat into a manageable planning parameters. So that is the power of Monte Carlo. So that's it for today. Thank you and good luck for your test if you haven't done it yet. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, you can leave. Bye-bye. I'm not sure if it's recorded or not. I don't think it's recorded. If it's not recorded, then we can't share it on the platform. I will share the slides after this. I will put it in the WhatsApp group, I think. You're welcome.